Hi. In a different turn of events, I'm going to show you how not to assemble a LILYGO T-Beam because mine caught on fire. Let's get into it. I will have all the links to purchase and assemble said device will be in the description below. So, you may be wondering, how did yours catch on fire? We'll get there. Once you procure the correct LILYGO T-Beam from your sources, I chose AliExpress, and make sure when using AliExpress you don't get scammed. The T-Beam from said site should cost you between $35 and $40 without tax. It should never cost you $14,000 like the example I am showing you right now. What? Please, I am begging you, double check the price before you just spend 14 grand on a radio that cost 2 paper clips and a bottle cap to make. That said, once you procure said device, you will also need 3 different types of screws, and you'll need a specific 18650 battery. Now you may be wondering, which battery of the 18650 do I need? You do not need anything above 3000 mAh, because anything above 3000 mAh is unnecessary. Most 18650 batteries are, by nature, rechargeable. The real question is, do you need a flat top or a button top? And according to the official Meshtastic.org website, underneath LILYGO, underneath T-Beam devices, the T-Beam, all models are designed to the original specification of the 18650 and only fit unprotected flat top 18650 cells. Button tops and protected cells are typically longer than 65 millimeters, often approaching 70. In the T-Beam's case, size matters. So make sure you're getting that unprotected flat top cell. Moving on. Once you have your device, once you have your battery, once you have your sets of different screws, bolts, screw bolts, that's what they're called apparently, whatever, you can begin assembling your T-Beam in its case. Once you print your own case, for whatever reason, nobody except the fantastic people at Etsy, no realtor, not even AliExpress, interestingly enough, sells cases for the T-Beam. So you will either have to print your own T-Beam case, which I did, or you can buy one from Etsy. Those are your only options, sadly, when it comes to getting an enclosure for this device. And you can find the link to all the enclosures at meshtastic.org, community, enclosures, and then T-Beam version 1, which will also let you know what hardware you need. It does not say that you need the battery, but this is just the hardware for the case. So this is a good reference so you know what types of screws to buy. And I'll show you the size of the M2. These things are just ridiculously small. I had struggles getting the screws in for 2 reasons. One, the size, but also the case bolt hole was being very stubborn. It's like it would have been better if I heated the bolt up and then using tweezers try to like burn the hole in, because it just was not grabbing. I highly recommend using tweezers. So, once you've acquired your device, the T-Beam, once you've acquired your unprotected flat top 18650 battery. Once you have acquired your bolts and nuts, once you have acquired your case via 3D printing or Etsy, you can now assemble your T-Beam. Very important caveat to the case. You need to make sure that the case you're printing matches the model number on your device. The model number is on the device itself. So when you go to download your case, you need to make sure if you have the Neo 6M, every single piece that you need for your file has a 6M in it. Just like that. The reason why there are so many files is because our community, thankfully, very nice, very generous people, have created different types of cases with styles and hexagons and lines and dots and all that cool looking stuff and waves. It's neat, it's nice, it's cool. Make sure that all of the file names have that 6M in the file name, or you got the wrong file and you'll be frustrated trying to assemble the T-Beam and nothing fits together. Or worse, yours will catch on fire, which we're getting to in a minute. Now, also on the printables page, there are instructions on how to assemble the T-Beam. I don't mean to sound robotic, I'm just really tired. It's like 6 a.m. and I can't sleep. So, once you have procured the T-Beam, the unprotected flat top 18650 battery, you have printed or purchased your case and all the accoutrement with the 3 different types of hardware required to screw in the case to the board. You can now assemble your Meshtastic T-Beam. If you follow the steps in this guide, it says so in the top right corner if it's the 6M or if it's the M8N. Gotta be careful with this. You don't want to catch on fire. Not fun, can say from experience. You need to insert the power, user, and reset buttons. I did the tall buttons too because I don't like when the buttons are flat with the case. I recommend the tall buttons if you have big fingers. Anywho, continuing on, connect and install the GPS antenna in the frame and back cover. That step, if not done correctly, will catch fire. What they fail to mention is that the GPS, by the way, it's ceramic, that ceramic tan antenna for the GPS module is, without a doubt, an absolute fire hazard and a terrible design choice where they put it. Because, if you look at said picture here, there is nothing behind the connectors where the battery goes. Metal connector and this little metal connector. There is no plastic on the back of that preventing contact with this wire connecting to the ceramic GPS antenna. I detached that ceramic antenna like it said to do. I put it in the nook like it said to do. Well, that cable doesn't really want to cooperate. It kind of just flops wherever it want to flops. And if you don't have that under control and it touches anywhere near that battery or that exposed metal connector to the battery, you will have issues. When assembling the T-Beam, always be extremely careful on step number 4, which is moving and inserting that antenna into the nook, because that cable can touch the battery and catch on fire. And it's an instant fire. It's not like it just touched it for a second and nothing happened. It is a in your face little fireball, puffs of smoke. Hopefully nothing bad will happen. The battery didn't explode, but it was an unpleasant sight because my radio was immediately shot. The battery was shot in what I thought was an extremely dangerous state. You don't want to be in that situation where you spend 2 weeks like I did collecting the device, the screws, the case, go to assemble it, and it catch on fire, and the whole board is shot. So be extremely careful on step number 4. The battery itself, when you install the battery, it will be tough. It will feel like you're going to break the board clipping the battery in. It's okay. Be a little firm with it. It won't break. On the most part, the screws, like I said, installing the screws is really simple. The only problem is sometimes when you 3D print your own case, the screw holes might not be fully open. So you might have to either heat up the bolt as you screw it in a little bit, or you'll have to just clean out that bolt hole with a really sharp and really tiny like needle or something. Anywho, again, how not to assemble the T-Beam. You need to make sure that that GPS antenna cable is nowhere near the battery. I hope this video was informative and helpful. If not, it's out there. And I want to thank the Meshtastic community. Thank you so much for your efforts. You put in so much time and effort into building guides, the enclosures, just making this, it's a hobby for me, making this hobby accessible and useful. And with that, I hope you all have a great rest of your day. As always, don't die, stay healthy, and catch you in the next video.